that, like, share, subscribe. मी काय बडबडते? I said repeat the same thing over and again. Stop staring at me. It makes me conscious.
बघितलं पण नव्हतं.
तुम्हाला कडे बघत होते मी त्याला बघितला. See you next Friday in the part 2. Bye. That was so much better. What's up you guys, Zarati? Welcome back to our channel. This is another video in our abnormal psychology. Again, I'm not making these full-fledged videos, okay? So today we are only going to speak about anxiety disorders, and there are different kinds of anxiety disorders. So I think I'm going to make this into two-part video. So today we'll just talk about a few anxiety disorders, and then next Friday we'll talk about the remaining anxiety disorders that a second year psychology student, at least according to Mumbai University, would need to know. Also, this topic is not in the compulsory subjects. So if you are studying in IDOL, which is the distance learning of Mumbai University, then you would not have this subject. The subject is called as psychology of adjustment, and if you would be in a regular college, you generally get options. So there is Gandhiism, dietism, something, and is mass communication, and then there is psychology of adjustment. Depending upon the college, you may have different options out of these 4 or 5 subjects. Fortunately, my college did or does have psychology of adjustment, so thankfully I could take it, and this topic is in that subject. Okay, so this is not into this topic is not in the major psychology subjects in the second year. So if you're wondering ki kidhar hai, to ye nahi hai. This is in psychology of adjustment. But just because I make videos for everyone who's studying psychology, and even whoever is interested in psychology, these videos are really nice. So even if you don't have psychology of adjustment, such videos are really good because you get extra knowledge here and there that these videos could be like very introductory for the future topics that we are going to study in the next year or in the masters. So knowledge but try le lo. That's all I'm saying. So today we'll just talk about part 1 of anxiety disorders. So let's begin. Okay, now you have to watch the part 1 of abnormal psychology, where I spoke about it 4 different types that can differentiate between psychological disorder and abnormal behavior and normal behavior. That will help you understand that everybody goes through stress and anxiety. If you're in an exam, you are going through an anxious event, so that is causing you anxiety and that's causing you stress. So how does anxiety disorders and such anxiety that you feel, how are they different? So that video would actually explain a lot of that, because I'm not going to talk about all of that in this video. Okay, so anxiety it comes in our life in very different ways. Maybe you're getting a new promotion and your responsibilities are new. That's a reason why you're feeling anxious. Maybe it's an exam that's coming up and you're feeling anxious because you really need to do well so you can go ahead and you can get into masters, or maybe it's some course that you have to get into, whatever. So anxiety is of very different kinds, and what happens is that it is very different from anxiety disorder. So what is anxiety disorder? So anxiety disorder is characterized by symptoms of excessive or inappropriate anxiety or attempts to escape from such anxiety. So anxiety disorder can be triggered, or the symptoms of it can be triggered by either a stressful event, or even if there is no danger, there is no stress, this anxiety can be triggered. That is one of the aspects of anxiety disorder. And now there are different types of anxiety disorder. So let's start with the first one, which everyone generally knows: generalized anxiety disorder. So generalized anxiety disorder, it is generalized. It's like, I would call it like free flowing anxiety. Person who has a generalized anxiety disorder, they tend to feel anxious all the time, no matter what. They always anticipate कि कुछ गलत होने वाला है, कुछ बुरा होने वाला है. They are always on edge. If you ask someone who has GAD, they tend to say that I don't know what it is, but something bad is going to happen. I feel something bad is going to happen, and I feel on edge all the time. So I call it like free flowing anxiety. Okay, so that is generalized anxiety disorder, and people who do have this, they tend to develop headaches, muscular tensions, indigestion, strained face, and they're very fidgety also, and they become very apprehensive of this anxiety, and due to this condition they may even have ulcers, they may even get coronary heart diseases because of this free floating anxiety. Coming to the second type of anxiety disorder is obsessive and compulsive disorder, so OCD. Now if you see in DSM 4, if you have ever seen a diagnostic and statistical manual, yeah, DSM. So if you see in the DSM-4, OCD is in the anxiety disorders category, but if you see DSM-5, it's actually in its own category, which is like other obsessive and compulsive disorders, I think. Obsessive compulsive and related disorder. So DSM-4 may OCD has its own separate category. It's not an anxiety, but we need to remember that OCD does happen because of anxiety. Okay, it does have an anxiety component to it, because there is obsessive and compulsive personality disorder, which we will talk about in the personality disorders video. But so you need to remember that this is an anxiety related disorder. So OCD mein there are two essential features. Obviously it's part of the name only: obsessions and compulsions. So obsessions is the involuntary dwelling on an unwelcome thought, and compulsions is the involuntary repetition of an unnecessary thought. So obsessions often involve fear of being contaminated and contracting a disease, so like being infected of germs, fear of causing harm. So maybe before leaving the house you feel like checking the door every now and then, not like you but whoever has OCD, they feel like, oh, did I lock the door, or while leaving the house or whatever, they would think that, oh, did I turn off the stove तो बंद किया ना मैंने, गैस तो बंद किया ना मैंने, what if gas leaks and all of that. So they are always afraid of causing any kind of harm. Then superstitions. So they feel that they must do a particular action certain number of times. The need for order or perfection. So if you have a rug or something and it has those fringes, then they should all be aligned. They cannot be zigzaggy or any other way. They have to be in perfect order. That is like one example. These are the intrusive and unwanted thoughts, and they make you behave a certain way in a very ritualistic, repetitive manner, which takes hours of your time. So it's kind of, you cannot live your daily life because of it. These thoughts, right, they make you do things, like behave in a very repetitive and in a ritualistic manner, and only then and then these thoughts go away. So it takes hours of your day, so you can't live normally, you can't do your daily activities because of it. And performing these actions, performing or doing these compulsions can stop or prevent your obsessive thoughts from coming again and again, from recurring. Now, compulsions fall into three categories. First one is hoarders who collect almost anything and cannot get rid of it. Second is repeaters. They feel that they must repeat a behavior a set number of times. Third is orderers. So they feel that they want their possessions in certain places and they should be arranged in certain ways. So that's obsessive and compulsive disorder for you. The last kind of disorder that we'll talk about today is PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. It is a severe anxiety disorder and it is characterized by symptoms of anxiety and avoidance behavior. PTSD generally happens when somebody experiences a stressful event, like being physically or sexually assaulted. It can also happen if someone has experienced it themselves, like any stressful event or something, anything traumatic, or it can happen by witnessing any traumatic event. Devastation of war, natural disasters, plane crashes, terrorism, horrific car accidents, murders, all of these can cause PTSD. There are some professionals that are more susceptible to PTSD, like say police officers, firemen, even medical personnel in a way. There are three main symptoms of PTSD. One are flashbacks, like it feels like you're reliving the same traumatic event over and over again. Second is nightmares, and third is intense fear. But there are other symptoms as well, like mood swings, irritability, depression, crying often, limited attention span, difficulty concentrating, confusion, poor work or school performance, headaches, sleep disturbance, even appetite problems, maybe, stomach problems, and even so people nobody wants to feel anxious and stressed and relive something traumatic, right? So people tend to self medicate, so people do get into substance abuse, alcohol, drugs. And that is it for today's video. As I've already mentioned, it's just the part one. We are going to continue talking about anxiety disorders next Friday in the part two. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe already. So you'll get a notification even if you forget about me for a week. And like and share this video as well if you have enjoyed it, if you have learned not enjoyed it, but you have learned something new. Anxiety is not something to be enjoyed. If you have learned something new, and I'll see you next Friday in the part two. Bye.